Hey everyone! Welcome to the Fishbowl Podcast. I'm Sydney.
And I'm Brooke. And we are going to be continuing our conversation about boundaries and lack of privacy. And there's just so much we want to say on this topic, and we're really excited. So
let's dive in! First of all, if you didn't listen to the first part of this episode or this topic, I would highly recommend going back and listening to it. We're kind of going to build on that again this week and just talk a little more about it.
Yeah, we talked about being consistent in your character and also the importance of being vulnerable with close emotional relationships in your life. And those are two really big topics. So I definitely encourage you to go listen, give it a listen, and then come back. And we have so much more we want to say about boundaries and privacy and give you some steps that you can use if you're struggling with this. So last episode we were talking a little bit about how people think that they can just say things to you as a kid that are just totally like not appropriate for a child, or they think that they know everything about your life because they've like grown up with you, and that can be a really big topic in itself. So people like get this confidence to make comments like you're like their bestie.
I know.
And actually there's something I've been like wondering. I want to confront this here, like on camera.
What have you heard?
I've heard a lot of rumors.
Rumors about who?
You.
Me?
Yes.
No. You've heard rumors about me?
Yes.
From who? From people?
Oh, from everyone. People on
at church?
serve teams? Yeah.
At our church?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hit me with it.
There are some rumors that you are pregnant.
Wow.
Are you expecting?
Unfortunately, I'm not expecting.
We should just insert like a big pause.
Yeah. I am not expecting.
You're not?
No.
Oh my gosh, everyone told me that you were.
Oh, you heard it from them?
Yes.
Yeah, I decided to tell every random person in the church before I told you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
I was hoping it would make it to you by now. I'm so glad it did.
It did, yeah.
Oh my gosh, no, but that's so true. That's just like one example of something. Like, people will pull me aside and be like, so, are you pregnant?
Yeah, if you're listening and you've done that, it happens.
Also,
but
it's always guys.
It's always
that
men.
want to ask that.
The
and
best
I'm like,
response is always to say, do I
just
look
say,
pregnant?
oh, do I look pregnant? And then they freak out. No, you don't look pregnant.
Yeah.
No, but even if I'm wearing a flowy dress, they'll just say like, oh, you're wearing a flowy dress, you must be expecting, you're hiding something under there. And I'm like,
no, Sydney told me like people will literally touch her stomach, and like Sydney is just too kind. The way I would not let somebody touch my stomach.
It's just like too much. It's like, I do not know you. I do not.
And you're touching my
you
abdomen.
Like that. I'm scared to be pregnant because of people like you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Have you gotten any crazy comments before too?
Oh my gosh. Well, if somebody asked me if I was pregnant, I would have my own issues. But with that. But I have gotten some weird, like, just like, when people just come up to you and like say things that I'm like, I'm literally a child. Like, I don't know. I think the worst thing for me is just like things with social media, like the drama, you guys. Like, when you're in this light, people are always like following you on socials, like they want to know what you're up to, and it's like, I kid you not, people would be going to my parents like, oh, I saw Brooke posted this, that, and the other, or like sending my post to my parents. Like, newsflash, my parents follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Like, they're seeing my post. Yeah.
We usually run our posts by them before we post them.
Exactly. So it's like people would like send stuff to my parents, and my parents like, I don't know. That was
just like almost feeling like, oh, did you see this? Did you see that? And they're like, yeah, we already know everything about her.
Like, okay. So that was like one thing. I'm like, do you really have nothing better to do on a Tuesday night than send the pastor's daughter's social media post to the pastor's family? Like, get a life at that point. Sorry.
For real.
That's kind of rude.
It sounds like a personal problem.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But anyways, that was one thing that was really hard for me. Another thing is just like, this one is so triggering. Like,
her eyes twitching right now.
My eyes.
Her eyes.
I'm so angry. But no, like, as a kid, and I know you experience this too, people would come up to us and be like, just start saying things that they disagree with about our parents. Like,
oh my god,
like, I love this church, but the music is too loud. Or like,
oh my god,
I kid you not, guys, One time I was literally with my dad after a service, and his family came up and just talked about, like, they were literally, like, telling him how his message was, like, not good, and, like, he wasn't a good speaker, and, like, literally right in front of his daughter. And people will just, like, come up to you and, like, criticize the church or your parents or your family, and, like, that's just not okay. Like, I don't know what adult thinks that's okay.
Or you know that they're, like, people will post things on social media, you know? And then, like, their kids be trying to act like they're your friends. Or, like, their family's, like, trying to talk to you in public. I'm like, do not talk to me.
Exactly. I just think,
do
like,
not talk to me.
For whatever reason, like, it's just not okay for an adult to come up to a child and criticize their parents at their own church or something like that. Or not their own church, but, like, you know what I mean? Like,
no, I get that.
It's, like...
Things that we've heard that people just, they'll be talking to dad about, right? And you think because there's a child standing there, they're not going to be, no, they just talk about graphic stuff, no filter, and we're just saying, and they'll look at us, they'll be talking to dad, then look at us and be like, I can't say this stuff here, but, like, the stuff that they say is graphic.
We're not trying to air out everyone's
life. Like, they should probably basically be sitting in a counseling room, but they're just talking, like, like, after service, like, we're just with our dad chilling, and they're, like, talking about their past, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what that means.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but, like, even, like, alone. Like, did you ever experience somebody just walking up to you and just saying the most, like, awful thing about the church, and then just, like, what do you expect me to do? Like, I'm 10 years old, I'm wearing a tutu, and, like, you want me to take this up with my dad?
If they can't get to your dad, they want to get to the closest thing to you.
And that is honestly disgusting.
Yeah, it really is. And, like, even now, like, people will say, they'll ask me, like, to tell my dad things, and I'm like, I don't live with him. I am married. Yeah. Like, I literally...
Schedule an appointment.
Yeah, schedule an appointment, or go tell him yourself, because if you have to tell his little daughter child, then I think you should tell him yourself.
Yeah, but it's not like this is a new thing. It's not like people are coming to you at the ripe age of, like, how old are you, 22?
23.
23.
The ripe age of 23.
People have been doing
apparently it's a ripe childbearing age. I can tell you that.
Yeah. But no, this has been going on since we were children, and that's just not okay, guys.
Okay, so people come up to us, they talk about stuff to us, like, what did we do, or what can we do now to learn how to set boundaries?
You say do weird.
Do?
Do. ASMR.
I'm keeping that in.
Good.
I didn't notice that. Now I'm going to be, like, self-conscious.
No, it's not like that.
Okay, anyways, what was I saying?
Oh, gosh. What to do when that happens?
Well, I don't know. That's why I'm asking you, Brooke. I feel like you might have more wisdom than me, because you obviously are a lot more passionate about this. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, what do you do when someone says
I mean, maybe, like, when they say, are you pregnant, I say, well, first, do I look pregnant?
Yeah.
And secondly, I'm like, I just say that's not true. Or I just shut rumors down, honestly. If I hear them, I'll say, that's not true.
I think the biggest thing is, like, we're not feeding into things. Like, maybe someone's coming up to you talking about some drama that's going on, and maybe you have your own feelings about it, but it's like, as a kid, as a pastor's kid, like, I had to learn to not feed into things. If people were complaining about a song on the set list, and maybe I didn't want that song. I don't like that song, but I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, let me tell you, I agree with you. Like, I hate that song. I don't know why they picked it. Like, just be like, okay, you just have to shut that down.
I think this happened a lot, like, when we were in, like, youth ministry, because all the kids felt like they knew what was going on, and they knew what was best, and blah, blah, blah.
If somebody left the church, or, like, was pursuing a different job in ministry, like, people would have so many questions for us, and that's just something that, if you're a pastor's kid or a kid in ministry and this is happening to you, we would encourage you to not feed into that, because there's no fruit coming from that conversation. And even if it's, like, an adult coming to you, you may think, well, it's okay to talk about this, like, they're an adult. No, it's not. Like, there's just not that
And then
level.
There's that temptation, though, because you feel like, I want someone to just understand. Yeah. Because a lot of times my parents would fill us in on things, because we got too smart where we were just like, we know something's going on. Yeah. And there was just that temptation of, like, maybe this person will understand. Maybe I should just share this information, which then turns into gossip. But it's like, no one else understands. Like, you just want to share it with someone so they can share your understanding. But, there comes a point where you just have to put that on God and, like, not feed into things.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you don't want to, like, change someone's perspective on your church, or just on a church in general, on church or on religion, that it's divisive or anything like that.
And I think maybe sometimes the adults coming to us had the expectation that, like, we would badmouth maybe our parents or
maybe
know,
that
someone
happens in other churches. I don't know.
But they're going to figure out real quickly that, like, we stand behind our parents no matter what. And so...
Yeah, we do.
Definitely, if you're a kid and this is happening to you, I encourage you to stand behind your parents, stand your ground, the vision of your church, and just shut it down. Like,
shut it down.
It doesn't matter how old they are. Like, that's an immature thing to do, to talk to a child about this stuff. So, understand, you don't have to share anything with those people. Like, that's a good boundary to have in place, don't you think?
I know one thing, you do is, like, you really like this button called the block button.
Oh, God.
Would you say that's a good skill to teach these people on the podcast?
I'm not sure. Sometimes my emotions get the best of me, and I'm tired of people lurking, the ops lurking on my socials, and I'll give them a quick little block.
Yeah.
But
I wonder if they ever notice.
Yes. But no, that I think I'm a little hot-tempered with that stuff, where I'm like, oh, you do me wrong. Oh, you say something wrong about my parents. Block. Done.
Block.
Removed.
Block.
Yeah.
But even like things she'll be like, oh, I have that person blocked, and I'll be like, why do you have them blocked? And she'll be like, because of what they said about you. I'm like, oh, what did they say about me?
In like 2019, like,
I was like, oh,
I didn't like that. Yeah. But no, I'll admit I can be hot-tempered with that. But there are times where you may have to draw a boundary. Like, maybe somebody followed your socials who it's probably not appropriate for them to be following. Yeah. You know, like things
honestly,
like that.
Though,
you have to
unfollowing some people that you know when you see them, it gives you anxiety or just is gonna fuel something within you. Like, it's just unfollow them. Like, it's just not even worth it.
Right.
I know, like, one thing mom and dad had us do too on social media is, even now I'm like subconscious about saying do.
No, it was just that one time. You got like so passionate and you were like, do. ASMR.
The Dewey Decimal System.
Cannot put that in.
Actually, part 2, this is just our ranting.
Yeah.
Back to the story. I was saying do. And
You're saying do.
Oh, okay. So mom and dad also were particular about stuff that we posted on social media. And as a kid, I, like, didn't understand that. Like, well, we weren't allowed to have social media for a while. Well, I wasn't. I don't know about you, Brooke, but because I was the first child, like, I didn't get a phone until, like, after my friends. And then social media was, like, a big thing. Like, no, you can't have Instagram. Like,
really?
Yeah. Like, I couldn't have it. And at some point, my mom was like, no, I think you can get it. And then my dad was like, no, absolutely not. But, like, I think I had, like, a private page, and, like, I had probably, like, 10 followers, and I followed 10 people. It was literally, like, my 10 friends. But, like,
I think I was allowed to have it at whatever age you were allowed to.
Yeah,
so it was fair, but I kind of just, like, knew. Like, I saw it coming. For you, it was all new.
Yeah, it was. And so they were always very skeptical, because us being online might mean, like, people would try to, you know, say things or whatever. And then they were also very specific about the type of things that we posted, too. I don't think that we posted anything, like, we weren't trying to post anything inappropriate, but they were just...
They were trying to protect us because they knew some of the backlash that you could get as a pastor's kid. That's unique to this kind of lifestyle that, like, other kids wouldn't be experiencing. Yeah. You know, it wasn't anything, like, crazy.
Yeah, like, I was never trying to post something, but they always would just, like, keep us aware of that, too, which I do think I appreciated. Now I do, because I'm so glad that they kept those boundaries on us. And also, at first, knowing who we should allow to follow. Now that I'm older, like, you know, I don't do that whole thing, but... Yeah. Letting certain people follow you, and you don't have to let everyone follow you on social media, was also something that they let us know was very important too. And they were on all of our social media, and I didn't really care anyways. And they also had, like, all the passwords to our phone. My mom used to say they had an app where they could log in and see every single thing going on our phone. I don't really. Yeah, they told me that. No. Do you think that's true? I don't think so.
Mom also said she had eyes in the back of her head. My mom did tell us that if the ice cream truck was playing music, it meant they were out of ice cream. Yeah. But I think she still bought us. That sounds horrible, but she still bought us ice cream from the ice cream truck. But no, I think that they probably said that because they wanted us to, like...
To know that they could see everything.
Yeah, and they could.
Yeah, they could, and we didn't care. I know parents ask them questions a lot, like, oh, what do you do with your kids? Like, do you go make them turn in their phones, or do you take away their phone? Like, we always earned I think, what we got as kids, and I don't think, like, we earned that much, what's the word, like, leeway with them. Like, Trustworthiness, yeah. We earned the trust with them, and I never cared if they picked up my phone to look at something, because I never, going back to that, like, vulnerability thing of, like, I just never had anything to hide. Yeah. Like, if I had something to hide, I might have been scared, but since I never had anything to hide, it was never a big deal.
One of, like, I guess the unique things about this is there becomes a point where it's like, okay, you can't share every detail about your life, because then all of a sudden it's not you showing cool parts of your life. Now all of a sudden you're bragging.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you go on vacation and you're just bragging to the whole world.
You're bragging because your dad's a pastor, and God forbid you take time away with your family.
Yeah, you should not have any nice things.
No.
You do not get to go on a vacation ever in your life.
God forbid we get a new car after my parents driving the same crusty, dusty cars, beat up cars. We literally only had one car for the longest time. People would loan us cars. My parents sold their car to help raise money for our church building. Yeah. Like, and then we would, like, take a trip away. Yeah. Sometimes other people would bless us with, like, like a hotel or, like, a trip to go away, and, like, God forbid we posted about that, because then it's, like, bragging and, like, how dare you? Yeah. How dare you do that?
Our parents definitely helped us understand that, like, it's not the same as other kids where you can go on a vacation and, like, post about it. Or, like, even when I got my first car, like, that was something that I was so blessed to have, like, the help of, like, my aunt and my grandparents.
Yeah, like people don't know that we have other people that did help with those blessings too.
Yeah, but all of a sudden you post a picture with the car you got, and, you know, people are gonna be like, oh my gosh, like, how are you paying for this? Yeah. Or, like, there's just a lot of backlash that comes with, you know, taking a vacation or having something nice. And so our parents kind of helped us understand that, like,
it is true though, because, like, I think of me, like, I get paid because people are sacrificing money and giving money, and so for a pastor to be doing that, they definitely helped us with, like, that perception of, like, and also teaching us that, like, you know, we're not misusing, like, the money, but we did get blessed in some ways by very generous people to allow us to, like, have family time away, and that fought for us too, because they know that doing that can lead to burnout. Not doing that and not spending time with your family can lead to burnout, and that's something that I think refills all of our family. And my parents learned that, and I think my dad and mom too, like, they were like, this refills us, and so we're gonna make a point to do whatever we can to make sure we can get away. And they wouldn't, because, like, that refilled us too, like, they wouldn't let us bring, like, friends to our family vacation, which I know is, like, popular sometimes for people to do, but
because that was our because that was our sacred time together. Like, that was our family time. And so also just encourages you to be unplugged and just realize, like, we're not here for the pictures. There's just, like, some really unique things and, like, kind of niche things that you may experience with privacy or lack thereof. Yeah. But definitely just, like, some things we've learned and we've been taught that have helped us along the way.
Okay, so we want to end this episode with maybe 3 practical things that you can take with you after this to implement in your life and have boundaries, better boundaries, which I think we could even do, like, a whole other episode of setting boundaries. But I don't know if I'm there yet to be able to teach that.
Part 3 coming soon.
Part 3.
What do you think, Sydney?
Well, I think something that I've had to learn is having time for yourself. Like, when you're in the public eye, everything you're doing is being seen, being watched, you're always out. And for me, it didn't fill me up being out, because I was always with someone, like, seeing someone from church, and sometimes we get more responsibility out seeing someone because then they need help, they need something not bad to do, but I'm just saying, like, or I'm doing a lot of things for other people and serving a lot, volunteering a lot, and it's filling up other people, but it leaves me on empty. And so for me, I guess what they would call is self-care, but not in a worldly way, but coming from a way of, like, figuring out things that fill your own cup that you can then overflow, which also could be a whole other episode. But just in a quick synopsis, like, start thinking about those things that fill you up. And at first, like, I was like, I literally, like, don't like to read, so that's not for me. I don't really, like, exercising's nice, but not, like, something that, like everything that everyone said, like, always just was like, nope, not for me, not for me. And also, like, hanging out with friends, like, that's fun for me, but that does not refill me.
No, yeah.
I just love being home.
Mm-hmm.
I love being home, having a clean home, getting to enjoy my home. That refills me the most. And I think it's because my parents, we would always like refill time just together at home, and my mom always made our home just a safe place to come back to
definitely.
and relax. So when I come home, I just like to relax and chill out. So that's like mine, but I would encourage you to think about yours, something aside from church people, maybe even aside from your parents, that you can just do to focus on yourself to refill you. And thus, that would be something that would connect you closer to God. So, Brooke, what about you? Do you have something that refills you?
I think I'm in the same boat as you, where like for some people, social interaction just fills you up, but for me it drains me. So alone time, just like quiet space. I like to read. I also feel like exercising clears my mind. But aside from that, just like having my own hobbies and just like things that I know I don't find draining. Like I love to do things by myself in a way. It's like if I'm going shopping or something, like I go with like myself or like my family.
Yeah.
Just,
shopping be fun?
Yeah.
Because I love
retail
to
therapy.
shop.
But no, I think those are all really important points, and just like prioritizing that. It can be so hard to like schedule that, but it is so important. So we're talking about practical ways to set boundaries with other people. Another really important thing, and guys, this can be so hard, but it is so freeing. It is clarifying expectations. It is totally okay to clarify your expectations to someone and clearly communicate that, like, hey, I'm not willing to share that with you, or I'm not willing to talk about this any further.
Yeah.
You're not obligated to be this person or have this responsibility just because of the perception that people have on you and of your parents. Like, it's totally okay to clarify expectations, even if you're younger than the person that is putting these pressures on you to talk about something or to do something.
Yeah, and I think that even is tricky with like leading and serving, because people assume, oh, you're the pastor's daughter, like, oh, we have a need here, someone needs to lead this kids ministry class, and it's like, well, I've never led that class, but they're like, oh, but you can throw into it, you'll pick it up quick, you know, and there's that expectation to be like, okay, but there comes a time where you have to like clarify those expectations with people, because it is easy to just be thrown into anything. And maybe not that specific example, but like people just like, assume like they have an expectation that you can just jump in wherever, be high level and do all this, but you may not want to do that. And it's also unfair of them to ask you, and there are kind ways to just be like, actually, I would prefer to do this. Or,
hey, that interferes with my emotional well-being or my personal time. But another side of setting expectations is also sometimes it's okay as a family to discuss expectations around what you're going to talk about or what you're going to be consumed with. Like, when you're in this position, it is church, ministry. And sometimes, you know, your parents can come home from work, and then now you're all talking about church, and you come home from a long weekend and it's what you're talking about. And as a family, like, I would encourage you to be like, okay, maybe dinner time, we're not going to talk about this, or on our vacation, hey, let's not talk about work related stuff. And that's okay, because if that's something that's consuming your life and you just need a break from it, it's okay to set expectations as a family and say, hey, I want time where we can just talk about school or activities or family related things, just to like remind each other that we are a family and we're in this together, but there's also other aspects of our lives going on.
And then, like, the last thing that we have is just saying no when you feel like it's necessary. And there's a great book called The Best Yes. And I've heard it's a really good book, and I've heard some teachings about it, but it's basically saying, like, you know, you say no to things because you want to be able to say your best yes ultimately. Because if you say yes to everything, you're going to be burnt out.
Yeah.
And kind of going back to those expectations that people put on you. But it's okay to say no to something that brings you stress or anxiety. And for me, like, I like to be home, so I know that if there's going to be a lot of things that pull me away from being home in that time to fill myself, I have to say no to something, because emotionally, spiritually, it's gonna lead me to burnout.
Yeah, I think we both struggled with that, like saying no. Like that's
we were
scary.
busy. Like when we were in high school, like
we said yes to everything.
I think we did.
Yeah, we did a lot.
Now I want to do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think I should retire.
I'm like a grandma now.
Yeah, like I mean, like all like in school and stuff, all the things, and then on the weekends, I mean, we were like leading classes in kids ministry. We were like running.
Yeah.
We were literally running that place.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, like why would we do something? And we wanted to be like every single service, every single weekend. Like, oh, if I had that freedom now.
I know, right? Yeah, definitely. Like it's okay to be like, no, I can't do that right now, or I can't join that serve team right now, or you know, even that could even just look like saying no to people having accessibility into your life, like we were talking about, like, no, I can't do this, or I can't call you at 10 p.m. on a Monday night, like I'm with my family. Like saying no is okay, and there's ways to say it that are effective and kind.
Yeah, I think so. It's these are all, I feel like, learned skills. Like they're easier said than done. Like I feel like it's something I'm just now getting the hang of. Yeah,
but if it is something that you're struggling with, like we're here to tell you, it is totally normal to feel that, and there are ways to overcome these pressures and work through them. So let's just do a quick little recap about the 3 main takeaways from these past 2 episodes, because we have covered a lot, and this is a big topic, and there is more that can be said about this, but our goal is to just give you some practical takeaways. First one being, have consistency in your character. Secondly, value vulnerability.
And then in this episode, we talked heavily about boundaries, the value of personal time to recharge, clarifying expectations, and saying no. We hope this was all really helpful to you guys. And if you have any questions regarding any of this, feel free to let us know.
Absolutely.
You can check it out on our link tree, because we'd love to talk more about this, or find someone who can talk more about this that's been through things that we haven't. So
true. Hopefully somebody out there can relate to all of our little crazy stories, and maybe this clears up the rumors about your pregnancy.
Yes. I hope so. I hope this dispels all the rumors.
Oh, man.
Please. Hey, just a little reminder, continue to like, subscribe, listen to our podcast. What this does is it pushes it out to more pastors' kids and people who might be searching to know this information, because this is such a niche field. We want to make sure that everyone who's searching will be able to find it. So help us out by doing all of that. And
we'll see you next time
in the fishbowl.